All right, welcome. In this recap, we're going to dive into what it really means to be part of a church family and the incredible joy that comes when you find your part to play. Okay, let's start with the most important thing, the foundation of it all. Our place in this family? It's a gift. It's not something we earn. This whole thing is built on grace, not our performance.
You know, this one idea that we belong before we do anything, it just changes everything. It completely flips the script on why we serve and how we even see our role in the church.
Yeah, check this out. This slide really lays out two totally different mindsets, doesn't it? The world's economy is transactional. It says if you perform, then you can belong. But the gospel economy, it flips that on its head. It says you already belong, and because of that, you're free to joyfully contribute.
And we are surrounded by this if-then way of thinking, aren't we? I mean, think about it. At your job, you get a bonus if you hit your targets. At the gym, your key card works if you pay your dues. The moment you stop performing or paying, you're out. That's just how that world works.
And that's exactly why church is meant to be completely different. It's a family. So our contributions, whether that's our time or our energy, they're not dues we pay to keep our spot. Not at all. They're an expression of love for the family that we're already a part of.
Here's a great way to picture it. A newborn baby. They contribute absolutely nothing, right? They don't do chores, they don't pay rent, but are they a member of the family? Oh yeah, 100%. Their belonging is totally unconditional, and that is the perfect picture of our belonging in God's family.
Okay, so that's the big idea, but what does it look like in real life? Well, let's turn to a story from the early church, back in Acts chapter 6, where a real problem actually became an amazing opportunity for the family to grow stronger.
So, get this. Even the very first church, with leaders who literally walked with Jesus, they still had real, human, messy problems. As they grew super fast, some people were getting missed, they were getting hurt, and that's actually really reassuring, because it reminds us that no church is perfect. What really matters is how we respond when problems come.
And their response was just brilliant. See, the temptation for any leader is to try and fix everything themselves. But the apostles showed some serious maturity here. They listened, they stayed focused on their main job, and then they empowered everyone else to play their part. They actually turned a problem into a growth opportunity for the entire family.
And that leads us to this huge insight. In a healthy family, the responsibility is shared. Maturity isn't a few people running around completely exhausted trying to do it all. No, it's about everyone finding their unique role and joyfully stepping into it.
Okay, but we need some nuance here, because contributing isn't some one-size-fits-all expectation. Being a healthy family means we have to use spiritual wisdom and discernment to really understand where people are at.
So that's the big question, right? How do we apply that wisdom? How do we respond to different people in their different seasons? Well, thankfully, the Bible gives us a really helpful framework for this in 1 Thessalonians that helps us navigate it all with grace and truth.
And this framework is just so practical. It shows us that a cookie-cutter approach just will not work. You've got some folks who are disheartened, they're serving, but they're tired, they just need encouragement. Then you have others who are in a season of weakness, and they need our help and compassion. And then there are those who are idle, who need a loving nudge to step into their spot.
And that word idle, it's not just about being lazy. The original Greek is actually a military term. It means a soldier who's out of step with the rest of the formation. So the challenge isn't a harsh judgment. It's more like a loving call to find your place and get in step with the rest of the family.
So what happens when a church family actually gets this right? When people start contributing out of love with wisdom? Well, let's look back at the book of Acts and see what happened. The result is so much bigger than you might think. When you contribute, you're not just filling an empty slot on a to-do list.
You're actually creating this powerful ripple effect. When you step up and serve, you free up someone else to focus on what they're uniquely gifted and called to do. Your service literally empowers the entire family to be healthier.
So by taking care of this internal problem, by making sure everyone was looked after and everyone had a chance to contribute, the early church became incredibly healthy. And that internal health had a massive impact on their external mission. It wasn't something they kept to themselves. It spilled out.
And there it is, the powerful outcome. The Bible draws a direct line from the church solving its internal family issues to the message of God spreading like wildfire. A healthy family on the inside has this powerful, attractive impact on the world around it.
So that leaves us with a final thought to reflect on.
In this family, where your belonging is totally secure, it's not based on your performance, where might God be inviting you to lovingly contribute? What's your part to play?